Hello, New York Giants fans. Welcome back to the Empire State Sports Report. I'm your host, Adriana, also known as New York Giants Fangirl. Today, we are talking about the schedule release because it's official and it is ugly. Let me tell you something. So, we're going to get into it in 1 second. Please, if you're listening, subscribe, rate, and review the podcast. Share it with a friend. If you're watching on YouTube, please hit that subscribe button, hit the thumbs up. I'm almost to 5,000 subscribers. Would love to hit that benchmark by the time the summer rolls around. So, thank you guys for doing all that. Let's go ahead and get right into it because like I said, it's ugly. So okay, the thing about the schedule is we knew that it was going to be challenging, right? We saw the opponents, we knew it was going to be tough. This when I saw that it was hardest schedule in the league, I was like, all right, it's going to be tough, right? This is not what I expected it to be when I saw that it was going to be tough. This is like, oh my God. I've already seen like my brother's like, we're going 0-4 when that first came out. One of my like mom's cousins is like, they're going to go 4-13. I've seen people projecting the most is 6 wins. It's going to be tough, but let's talk through it because I think there are some things to be optimistic about as we go week by week. So let's start with that. Number one, Week 1, we are away in Washington facing the Commanders. Here's a reason to be optimistic that there are a lot of quarterbacks who have taken a step back in year 2, have a so-called sophomore slump. I think Jaden Daniels is a very, very good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. I don't really think he's going to do that, but we were very close to beating the Commanders last year. And since then, the Giants have really upgraded this roster, especially on the defense. We have Abdul Carter now. So yes, Jaden Daniels is a very good quarterback. He's very hard to tackle. We couldn't sack him last year, but we didn't have Abdul Carter. We didn't have Javon Holland. We didn't have Paulson Adebo. We didn't have Russell Wilson. So I think there are reasons to be optimistic. I think that if the Giants can go 1-0, they can really change the trajectory of this season. Do I think that means they're going to be a playoff team? Hell no. Do I think that maybe they could win 7 or 8 games if they go 1-0? Yes. I think the biggest thing is they need confidence and they need momentum. Remember what happened in 2022 when they beat the Titans? They beat them by a field goal, by this much at the end of the game. And like I said, that's not the reason why they made the playoffs, but I think it gave them enough confidence to be like, let's really take it week by week, one team at a time and see what we can do. The NFL is ultimately a week-to-week league. Players get injured, things happen, and you never know. They could end up winning. So I think the Commanders game away in Washington, a 1:00 game, I think there's a possibility the Giants could walk out of there with a win. Let's move along to the Cowboys. Again, an away game. They've got back-to-back division rivals in week 1 and week 2, both away. Not great, but the Giants also suck against the Cowboys at home. So at this point, I'll take an away game that early on in the season. Maybe it'll change up our mojo and we have a chance of winning that game. Here's a reason to be optimistic about that. We're only in week 2. The Cowboys have a rookie head coach. Everyone is forgetting about the fact that they have Brian Schottenheimer, who has never been a head coach before. He's bound to make some mistakes. This whole team is learning a brand new offense under him. There are going to be some miscommunications and some issues. The Giants have to take advantage of that. Historically, they have not done that, but like Dable says, it's a new year, right? And we have reasons to be optimistic. So Giants have been able to sack Dak Prescott before. I think that this team has a renewed sense of optimism with the players that they brought in the building. They have guys who are tough, who are dogs, who want to fight, who want to get down to business, who want to beat the shit out of other players like Cam Scatterbo, Darius Alexander. These are the guys who are like, we are going to punch it down your throat. Abdul Carter, let's fucking go. Let's beat the Cowboys, okay? For once in 13 games. Please? This is the time to do it. I think it's possible. What I don't think is a possibility is beating the Chiefs at home on Sunday Night Football. This is like outside of the Eagles. This is the worst case scenario for the home opener. And everything about this sucks. It's Sunday Night Football. It's against the Chiefs. Taylor Swift's not going to be on tour, which means that the tickets are going to be outrageously expensive, which is so goddamn annoying to me. But it is what it is. You got Spags coming in. I just think the Giants have no chance of winning this game. And I could absolutely be wrong on that. Like we always talk about, it's a week-to-week league. You never know. Realistically speaking, we're not walking out of MetLife with a win that night. I think we're shit out of luck with that one. Yes, Marcy. Hi, girl. She's pawing my leg. Okay, moving on to the Chargers. The Chargers are a good football team that sucks in the postseason. Maybe we can get some of that postseason luck on our side. I think this is going to be a really tough game. Obviously, Justin Herbert is a really good quarterback. They've got Harbaugh, who we know is a really good coach. They lost Keenan Allen. They made some changes this offseason. I think they're going to be pretty good. I think this is going to be a tough game for the Giants ultimately. Something that I do think that they have working to their advantage is it's a 1:00 game and they have a West Coast team coming east. So maybe, just maybe, the time change will get to them a little bit. Moving along to the Saints. The Saints is a hard team to play at, okay? We know that, but who's their quarterback? Is it going to be Spencer Rattler? Is it going to be Tyler Shuck? It's week 5. I think regardless of whether or not it's one of those two guys, I think our defense is going to keep us in the game and help us win here. You look at the Saints, they're not a great team overall. Obviously, Derek Carr is toast. And I really think that their quarterback situation is not going to be fixed, solved, or really great by week 5. And I think that this is where the Giants defense is really going to step in and try to bring some momentum to help the offense get on pace and win this game. I think the Giants are very capable of winning this game. If they get to the Eagles in week 6 and they are 2-3 or 3-2, we're looking good, right? I don't think we have any chance of beating the Eagles. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. We're going 0-2 against the Eagles this year. Let's move on. It's Thursday night. Oh my God, brutal. On to the Broncos. Very disappointed that this game is when it is because I really wanted to go to Denver and I have my brother-in-law's wedding that weekend and it's not going to work out, which is a major bummer. Here's what I'm going to say about the Broncos. We know they are a damn good football team, but let's talk about this sophomore slump. It happens to a lot of quarterbacks. Will it happen to Bo Nix? I don't know. Is it a possibility? Yes. I don't know what the Broncos schedule looks like before they play the Giants, but I do think, again, they are a team that's coming. This is at home, right? Oh no, this is away. Sorry. Giants are going to be in Denver. So they're not going to have that helping them out. It's an away game. It's a 4:00 game. I think this is going to be really tough for the Giants, especially knowing that it's away. The Broncos and Sean Payton, I don't know. I think this stretch right here, week 6 to 9, I think is going to be really tough. Between the Eagles twice, forget about it. They're going 0-2. I don't know. I don't have any optimism right now that the Giants can beat the Eagles. And listen, if they win a couple games before that and they can get some momentum and the defense looks good and they're sacking quarterbacks and Malik Neighbors is doing Malik Neighbors and Russ Wilson is airing out his moon balls and we're scoring more than 1 touchdown a game, hopefully more than 2, then there's some optimism that maybe we can be competitive against the Eagles. But I think that's the best we're going to get for right now. So I think this stretch is going to be tough. Now, the Niners obviously had a tough year last year, but I think they're going to come back. I think they're going to have, a better year this year than they did last year. Do I think the Giants can be competitive and give them a game? Absolutely. Again, I think this is going to be one of the games where they're really going to have to rely heavily on the defense. And if the defense is playing like we expect them to be, then there's no reason why they can't attempt to slow down Christian McCaffrey if he's fully healthy and ready to go. You never know. Maybe we'll get lucky. This is what I mean about a week-to-week league. If Christian McCaffrey goes down, we know that this Niners team is not the same without him. So maybe that'll work out to our advantage. If Andrew Thomas goes down, we're done. So, you never know. We need Andrew Thomas to stay healthy. He's the most important player on this football team. Moving along to the Bears. Now, I have said for the last couple of years that I think the Bears are getting it together. I think this is finally their year. Do I mean I think they're going to go to the Super Bowl? No. But they've got Ben Johnson. They've got Caleb Williams in year 2. He didn't look amazing in year 1. Obviously, the offensive line, he had a lot of issues around him. I don't think it was entirely his fault. I expect Caleb Williams to take a step forward this year. I expect the Bears to be better than they have been in the last couple of years. They did a lot of really good offseason moves. They brought in Ben Johnson. There's a lot of reasons, I think, if you're a Bears fan, to be optimistic. I think this is going to be a tough, challenging game for the Giants. I think there is a possibility that they can win it. Now, it's in Chicago. It could be blizzarding that day. It could be snowing. Are the Giants going to be used to it in November? Probably not. So, I think the weather could play a factor here. But I think this will be a tough one for the Giants. But I think that, it's one of those games that I think they can win on a last minute field goal if Graham Gano is being Graham Gano, right? So this is what happened in 2022. They won games. They won really close games, and they won games that they weren't supposed to win. And like I said, I don't think this team is going to go to the playoffs if they go 1-0 or if they beat the Cowboys or if they do this. But I just think they have to win some games that they aren't expected to win. I think from a talent perspective, this roster is a hell of a lot better than it was last year. So, give me some optimism here. Moving along, week 11 at home against the Packers. This is, again, going to be another tough game. Jordan Love is a really good football player. Their team is really good. Obviously, we're going against Xavier McKinney again. We know what to look like with him. They've got Tucker Kraft. They've got a lot of good weapons on their side. This is going to be a really tough game. To me, at this point in the season, it depends on two things. It depends on health and it depends on momentum. If the Giants have played consistently well and they've been competitive against these teams on both sides of the ball. Like, I'm talking if they only get blown out by the Eagles, but they score 2 or 3 touchdowns against the Broncos and the Niners, and they can score points and they can make stops and they can get sacks and they can, get turnovers on defense, then I think there should be optimism that we can win close games. The problem is there's just so many ifs, right? Like, we just don't know. And we really won't know until every week that goes by, because last year's a perfect example. We were this close to beating the Bengals and we just couldn't pull it off. The defense did their job until the end of the game and the offense just couldn't pull it together. About the Bills 2 years ago, there's so many games that we could look back on under Shane and Dable and say we were this close to pulling out a win and we just couldn't do it. This year, they have to be able to do that. There's no excuses. I know it's a tough schedule. I know you're going against really good teams. That's it. There's no excuse. You've got to pull out some wins. If you want to be here next year, Shane and Dable, you got to do it. And I think this team is capable. It's going to be really hard, but we've seen these guys play well. We've seen Dexter Lawrence be an absolute monster on this football team. Brian Burns is going to be fully healthy. We've got Abdul Carter. We've got Malik Neighbors in year 2 there. We've got Russell Wilson as opposed to Daniel Jones. There are definitely things to look forward to. And I really just want them to win some football games, please. All right, let's move along to the Lions. So we've got back-to-back away games here, the Lions and then the Patriots. Now, the Lions, I think, are still going to be a bit of a powerhouse. I think they're going to be a good football team, but they do have some question marks because they lost their 2 superstar coordinators. They are without Aaron Glenn and Ben Johnson, and there is no question that those 2 coordinators really helped that football team be what it is. Now, I don't think that means that the Giants are going to come out in Detroit and beat the Lions, but I'm saying there's a chance. There's always a chance. And, by the time week 12 comes along, whoever the new coordinators are for the Lions, I'm sure they will be in a groove. Dan Campbell's going to Dan Campbell. We know Jared Goff is really good. Aiden Hutchinson, they've got Gibbs. Like, the Lions are a super talented football team. I'm not even going to be mad if we lose to them. I'm going to expect that we're going to lose to them. But it's a week-to-week league, and you never know what can happen. But we're probably going to lose that game. Now, the Patriots, on the other hand, Monday Night Football, this also pisses me off. This was an away game that I was going to go to. My husband's a Pats fan. My brother-in-law is a Pats fan who lives close to the stadium. I was like, hell yeah, 1:00. We've got 2 awful teams. This is going to be a fun game. And they made it on Monday Night Football. And now I'm not going to go because no one's going to want to go to a Monday Night Football game in Gillette when it's Giants versus Patriots, who are probably not going to have great records. And it's probably going to be snowing because it's December in Massachusetts. So thanks a lot, NFL, ruining another game for us. I actually think that this game's going to be pretty close. I think the Pats made some really good moves this offseason. I expect them to be a hell of a lot better. But again, you've got Drake May, a young quarterback going into year 2. He's got a new head coach, learning a new offense. He's got some new offensive linemen, new players on the team. By week 13, I assume, like the Giants, that they will have it figured out by then and hopefully not look like shit, but you never know. You can, like I said, you can always catch a team on any given Sunday. That's why they say that. You never know what can happen. So I think the Patriots is a game that the Giants will keep close, and I think they have a shot at winning that. I think it's ultimately going to depend on Vrabel. I think he's a better coach than Brian Dable. Is he going to outcoach him? Probably. Week 14, finally, they have a bye, which is absurd. I hate how late it is, especially knowing that the Giants are an injury-prone team. This sucks. I wish it was like week 11, week 10 would have been perfect, but no, let's not only give the Giants the hardest schedule in the NFL, let's also give them a really late bye week. Again, thanks, NFL. You suck. Moving along to the Commanders at home. I think it's likely that the Giants split with the Commanders this year. I don't think they're going to sweep them. I think it will be a miracle if they do. The Commanders are obviously a good football team, and I think the Giants have a better chance of beating them week 1 when they can catch them off guard. You've got their Dan Quinn, who's in his second year as a head coach. I think is it Kingsbury? I should know this. I'm having a brain fart. But anyway, no, it is Dan Quinn. Okay. Sorry about that. Back to it. Anyway, so the Commanders, I just think that, we're talking about division rivals here. By the time this time in the season comes along, if the Commanders are having good momentum, I think that the Giants will be able to be competitive. But I just think that the Commanders at this point in the season, I would think, are going to be a really good football team. And I think it's going to be hard for the Giants to sweep anyone in the NFC East, especially the Commanders. But I do think that they could keep it close. I think if they don't beat them week 1, then there's a chance that they could beat them at home week 15. The Giants typically play well against the Commanders at home. This is a new Commanders team. I know that, but the reality is that they played them really closely last year. And I think that this year, with better talent, there's no reason why they shouldn't be able to do it again. Week 16, Vikings at home. They got a rookie quarterback, JJ McCarthy. I think that this is going to be a tough game because the Vikings made some good moves this offseason. They added some new offensive linemen. They did some good work on the defense. They brought in some good football players. They have Justin Jefferson, who JJ McCarthy is going to rely on and just say, look, JJ's down there somewhere. I can throw it long. So, I think that game's going to be tough. Kevin O'Connell is a hell of a head coach. I think the benefit that the Giants are going to have is that it's a 1:00 game at home. And that, like I said, hopefully at that point in the season, if most of the team is healthy, they should be able to keep it close and they should be able to take advantage of a rookie quarterback. No, it's not week 1 rookie quarterback. It's week 16, but still at the end of the day, if Shane Bowen is a good defensive coordinator, he's going to show him a hell of a lot of looks that this kid hasn't seen before, and you got to confuse him. So I hope that, they can use that to their advantage. I don't really think that I think if the Giants win this game, it's exactly because of that they really got in JJ McCarthy's head and they threw him a bunch of looks that he didn't know what the hell was going on, and we can get 5 sacks and win the game. Week 17 against the Raiders. I think this is going to be a tough game. It's away in Vegas. But, I think this is going to be a good game in the sense that we're going to be watching Russ versus Geno. Pete Carroll is a hell of a head coach. We know that. The Raiders also made some good moves this offseason. I think the biggest question mark is going to be Geno versus Russ. They're 2 good quarterbacks, not amazing. They are similar quarterbacks. And I think that, there is a possibility that it could go either way. I think the Raiders could at this point in the season, be better than people expect them to. But I think the Giants will keep it competitive if everyone's healthy. To me, that's the biggest thing at this point in the season. So we'll see. And then week 18 against the Cowboys. January game, it's going to be in the cold and it's going to be at home. So I think the Giants have that going for them. If it's a little breezy, if it's snowy, if it's freezing cold, I think they can use that to their advantage. I also think it will depend on playoff implications, right? Maybe if the Cowboys are in the playoffs, they're going to rest their starters and then we can sweep the Cowboys this year. Maybe. Optimism, right? There's got to be a little bit of it. So I don't know, guys, there's a lot of question marks. It's really hard to have any clue of what's going on, but I feel like going through this week by week, I think there are ways to talk ourselves up and give reasons to be optimistic on a week by week basis. At the end of the day, anything can happen in the NFL. If someone gets injured, if, someone's playing way better than expected, if Dable is a great head coach and he's 2022 Dable and making smart decisions and Kafka's calling the plays and he's calling great plays and receivers are getting open and the D-line's getting home and we're getting turnovers on defense and the offense is holding on to the ball well and not turning the ball over. Like if these things happen, the Giants can win more games than we think they can. The problem is there's a lot of ifs, right? But I want to close it out with this because I think there are two really, really fantastic reasons why we should be thrilled with this schedule. Number one, we're not playing on Thanksgiving. And on top of that, the icing on the cake is that we're not playing Dallas on Thanksgiving. So for once in the last couple years, my Thanksgiving and your Thanksgiving will not be ruined. So thank you, NFL, for that. We've got the tiniest sliver of breaks. The second thing to be optimistic about is they're not playing on Christmas. So for all of us who celebrate Christmas, thank God, I'm not going to have to suffer through another holiday of watching the Giants lose to either the Eagles or the Cowboys. So you know what? I will take the wins where I can get them. No holiday games, no New Year's Day game. We can all be hungover in peace, celebrate the new year, and, hope that 2026 will be our year. With that being said, thank you guys so much for listening. Stay tuned for more New York Giants episodes. Make sure you are subscribed, and I'll be back soon.